up, everybody? It's Sunday night, and yes, we are not live from Pikes Pub, but we will be live from Pikes Pub tomorrow night for a special Monday Night Football edition for the Eagles game, which is going to be absolutely extraordinary. Cannot wait. It's Tony Cantillo, Tyler Mraz. As always, the Phillies are at 90 wins. NFL Week 2. Listen, just check in. We'd like to do this at halftime. Not going to sit here for 45 minutes because we've got a really good game cooking with the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. Tyler, I'm shocked at how good of a game it actually is. Caleb Williams looks really good. I like that they changed the offense a little bit. And listen, there's been so much in week 2 that, has been great, but nothing greater, Tyler, than the Cowboys getting spanked at home.
I gotta give credit to you because you were on the Rashid Shaheed train the whole preseason leading up to it, and he has another huge game today. So 2 huge games from him, and what better way to start off the week than seeing a Cowboys loss? I mean, what can make it better than that? Obviously, an Eagles win tomorrow, but I mean, Saints. You see, that's the team the Eagles are gonna play next week, so it's going to be a tough game for sure. But looking around the league, a lot of upsets today as well. Buccaneers on the road beating the Detroit Lions. The Packers with Malik Willis were actually the underdogs, and they somehow beat the Indianapolis Colts still. The Vikings beat the 49ers, and the other ones, the Raiders. The Raiders beating the Ravens. That was a pretty big one too. Vontae Adams, huge game from him. Gardner Minshew, he came through when it mattered. So I think week 2 Sunday has been far better than week 1 Sunday.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, just from touchdowns alone, right? Last week it was field goal fest, and this week it was like big play after big play after big play. And Adam, what's up? Adam checking in as always. My man Adam checking in. What's up, Tony Tyler? I hope you had a great Sunday, Adam. And again, thanks for making a trip down to Pikes Pub last week. And just so everybody knows, going forward, the Tuesday show now will be on Mondays. So I will be live on remote at Pikes Pub every Monday night. We're getting in double duty, right? We have the Phillies that play all Monday games in September and get ready for Red October. And then we have Monday Night Football, which is obviously some great. And then, just to tease a little bit, got some really big news coming this week. Hopefully by Wednesday it can be announced that, we may be somewhere every Tuesday for 5 months. Just throwing it out there. So little teaser in there. Got some big things cooking. But I got to ask you something, because I will say this. Oh, nice. Adam says, hope you get the game tomorrow night. That's right. I forgot about that. So Adam's going to be live at the link. I like it, man. I like it. Dude, I'll tell you what. It's going to be electric. I mean, you have ESPN Monday Night Countdown live from Xfinity, right? With Jason Kelsey. You already know. I mean, people probably going to be lined up tonight waiting to get in there, right? I mean, it's just going to be, and the weather's going to be fantastic. Couldn't ask for a better day. And right away, though, let's just talk about it. A.J. Brown out. And this goes exactly what I thought. Like, why rush it? Right? It's a soft hamstring injury. So you have to be very, very careful with a guy who obviously has a ton of speed. And it's early. And this is the Falcons. And it's a guy who we destroy at home. And that's Kirk Cousins. So I'm really looking forward to this game. Yes, Adam, I do think we will be fine without A.J. Brown. Only because of the game. Listen, if you were telling me we're out A.J. Brown for the year, no, we're not fine. But I'm saying for this game specifically, I think they did the right thing. It's a short week, right? You got to remember, they have to look at not only this game, but next week. So now you have a short week because you have a Monday night game. So why not let them rest, get ready for next week? Tyler, I think it's the right move.
Yeah, I definitely do too. It's the Falcons. They barely lost to the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers didn't score an offensive touchdown, so the Eagles can afford it. You still have Saquon, you still have Devontae Smith, you have Dallas Goedert, and a guy who I'm projecting to score a touchdown, Jahan Dotson. I think his first catch is gonna be a touchdown. That's my bold take for tomorrow's game, but I think they'll be fine. AJ Terrell is a really good cornerback. They have a solid defense. I mean, only holding the Steelers to 15 points, but again, it was Justin Fields. It's Steelers offense that isn't the greatest. So I do think the Eagles are going to win convincingly tomorrow, even without AJ Brown.
Yeah, listen, this is a good setup for them. I know, I'm not trying to discount the fact that Bijan Robinson is a beast. Okay, I'm not trying to discount that at all. But I just think that, obviously on paper, this looks like a really good matchup for the Eagles. Now, getting back to week 2, man, you mentioned it, and Adam seconded says, "How about them Cowboys?" Exactly. Let's get back to that because I'm sitting there watching it, and just my whole Sunday is just football. Like it is me and my 2 sons. We just hang out all day. We go out back at the 4 o'clock games. We play football outside. It's just such a great day. It's something I live for. And we're sitting there thinking, like, are the Saints, are they really for real? Like, and I'm looking, I'm like, wow, like, this team has more weapons. I mean, they're doing this without even getting huge contributions from Chris Olave. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, Alvin Kamara, who looks reborn in this offense, Chris Olave, who again we haven't got, but still he is a stud. Rashid Shaheed, I get it. Like a lot of people, are like, oh, that no. Listen, I'm just telling you something. If you look at what he did last year, and I broke down the numbers, I did this in the preseason. He just looked like he was set up for success. And what they're doing, Tyler, is they're utilizing him all over the field. There's a reason why he's wearing number 22. It's because he's kind of like a hybrid Debo Samuel. If you think about it, they're using him in the backfield, using him in the slot. He's in the go route. He's in the wide. I mean, he's all over. I don't know, man. What do you think? You think the Saints are for real and they can continue to keep rolling?
I'm not sure because before the season began, I thought that they were going to be a bottom 3 team. I am not a fan of Dennis Allen as a head coach whatsoever. But Derek Carr is playing like it's 2016 again. Kamara is playing like it's 2018. So I think they have a chance at maybe making a playoff, but it's week 2. But after this, Eagles, Falcons, Chiefs, Bucks. So they have a tough stretch coming up, but looking at the rest of their schedule, they don't have a ton of tough games. So I could definitely see the Saints being a borderline 500 team. I don't think they're going to be anything more than that. But I mean, if you beat Dallas on the road in week 2, Dallas had a 16 game, right? 16 game home win streak, something crazy like that. And you come in and not only beat them, you spank them 44-19. But Derek Carr really looking like he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. But again, it's week 2. Anything can happen. Next week, he could throw 4 interceptions for all we know. But so far, Derek Carr has been playing like his best year in 2016. So very happy to see that because I'm a Derek Carr fan. But yeah,
Hey,
Saints could be good.
yeah, listen, man. No disrespect to Derek Carr. I just didn't see it, right? I just didn't see
Oh,
it.
I
But
didn't
what
either.
I did see, and again, listen, I am not going to sit here and tell you that I get everything right because I don't. Okay, I didn't hit one parlay today, but hit about 13 single bets, which is why I tell everybody to bet the single bets. Right, the parlays are huge. People don't just hit 17.95 parlays. Okay, but if you hit the single bets, that's what's important. And again, if you are a betting person, make sure you get over to windailysports.com, use that code word HEAT, HEAT, and make sure you click on it. You'll get the best deal possible. Okay. And we had a bunch of people hit. I will say this, we had a huge hit in our Discord today. Jason Mizrahi, and this is what it early on the 13th, which was Friday, put in there a ladder bet on Josh Jacobs to get up to laddering up to 120 yards rushing. Okay, I had people hit for upwards of $8,000 to $10,000. Not me. Okay, I don't bet that kind of money, but it's just that the ladder started at 70. So you're talking about the 120 was at like plus 600, like a huge number, 6-1. And I'm telling you, people were just banging it out the window. So that's what you do when you get in a premium Discord. And speaking of somebody that's winning, man, I got to give my boy Baker some love. I am a Baker Mayfield guy. You say you're a Derek Carr guy. I'm a Baker Mayfield guy, and it's amazing what happened. Again, another point. My son said, he said, "Dad, He's like, what is like all of a sudden Baker Mayfield? Like, what's happening? I'm like, confidence, bro. Like, this is a dude who nobody bought into, right? It was like nobody wanted. And Todd Bowles and that staff last year, they made him reborn. And then what did they do? They gave him a contract. They said, we're going to invest in you for the next 2 to 3 years. You're going to be our guy. And Tyler, I'm telling you, I don't know how much you saw that game, but the way he was like, his energy, it just proves that he is a straight up leader, and he's playing with extremes amount of confidence right now.
I still don't get how people aren't on the Baker Mayfield train after that playoff game in Detroit last year, because I admit I was on the fence about him. I was like, Buccaneers barely got into the playoffs. They won a
Yep.
weak division, but has that game against the Lions, has that game, I forget who they played in the wild card, but played two really good games. And then this so far this year, he's playing really well. He had 185 yards and a touchdown today. Was actually their leading rusher with 34 yards, but I am on the Baker train. Baker gets it done. I like him more than I like Jared Goff. I don't think Jared Goff has that it factor. And I think Baker shows at least flashes of having that it factor. So Buccaneers 2-0 on track to win that division. I mean, maybe they'll have competition with the Saints, but I do think Baker with Godwin, Evans, I just think he is in the best position possible. And he's finally reaching that potential that Cleveland thought they were getting.
But yeah, exactly. I like you said that Cleveland thought they were getting, right, because everybody buried that pick. I get it. Listen, not going to get into that, but what I will say is I'm glad you just brought up Jared Goff, because everybody always rips on me and says, "What is your problem? Why do you hate Jared Goff?" Number one, I don't hate anybody. Okay, hate is a very strong word, but if anybody watched that game, the way I tweeted it out because I was so the disdain I had for him is on another level, because he literally just gave up. Like, he showed he could have cared less. That last play of the game, you can't even reach your receiver, bouncing it. Like, you act like you couldn't even care, man. Like, what is that? You had a chance, bro. You had a chance. Like, that's Jared Goff. When it's not going his way, bro, that's who he is. Jared Goff will never win a Super Bowl, ever. I hate to say it, but he'll never win. Never win. Sorry, Tyler, but he's never going to win.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think I mentioned this in that predictions video I did a couple weeks ago. The Lions are good enough to make the Super Bowl, but in order to win a Super Bowl, you need to win because of your quarterback. And the Lions, I'm sorry, you will not win because of Jared Goff. He's not that guy, pal. Trust me. He's not that guy. I mean, he just doesn't have it in him. You saw it with the Rams, the lowest scoring Super Bowl in recent memory, and he couldn't get anything going. Obviously, I know it's going against Belichick and a great Patriots defense, but still, what has he done in the playoffs to really show that it factor? He hasn't done anything to show me that he can be that kind of guy. Doesn't really come in clutch too often in recent memory. So, I agree with you there. I'm not a big Jared Goff guy. I think he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
No, never. Never. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. And before we move on a little Phillies talk, before we get back to the second half of this great game for Houston and Chicago, I got to give a shout out to two really good coaching performances today, because number one, in Green Bay, whether you're a Matt LaFleur guy or not, what I don't want to hear it was against Indianapolis. I don't want to hear any of that. But the way he structured that offense, right? And we've watched this in Philadelphia where we've lost our starting quarterback. Like when we lost McNabb before, when he went down and we had to play with a backup. But even back in the day with like Coy Detmer, for Christ's sake, right? You look at that and just the way he prepared that team. And I'll tell you what, man, Malik Willis didn't look that bad, right? Like, he didn't throw a lot, but when he did throw, he actually threw that touchdown to Dontayvion Wicks. That was a hell of a throw, man. Like, not many quarterbacks make that throw. So shout out to Matt LaFleur, and shout out again, man. You cannot talk enough about Jim Harbaugh. Like, I keep saying that. Like, everybody's like, what's the big deal? What you're seeing is the big deal. Nobody, I don't care if it's Carolina, nobody gave the Chargers a chance. And what does he do? he takes Justin Herbert and makes him a game manager instead of this quarterback that's going to throw the ball 40 times and it's working. He takes two guys in J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards off the scrap heap that nobody wanted, and he makes them into household names again. So shout out to both of those guys, Tyler, because I think they did a hell of a job today.
And that's the real importance of having a guy that knows what they're doing. And that's why the Jim Harbaugh signing was so important. He's the better Harbaugh coach, in my opinion. Maybe that's a hot take. But I
That's okay.
mean, you look at what he's doing. The Chargers are 2-0. They were terrible the past couple of years. I mean, obviously you had the playoff year 2 years ago, but you blew a 20-something point lead at halftime. You have 4 interceptions, and you still lose that game. And that's all on coaching. And now you look at what Jim Harbaugh is doing. It's the Jim Harbaugh effect because they invest in the O-line. They bring in Greg Roman, a run-first offense. Huge fan of that. You invest in the trenches because the offensive line, besides the quarterback, that's the most important spot on the entire football field. I don't care what anybody says. Having a good offensive line makes your team from a good team to a great team. You look at all the best teams in the league, Eagles, Lions, Niners. What do they all have in common? They have tremendous offensive lines. And that's what the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh are finally doing. And Justin Herbert doesn't need to be a guy that takes over a game. I mean, he can do that, but you don't want to rely on him to do that every single game. But if you make him to where he can do just enough, and he can do that because he's Justin Herbert, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. And so this is going to be a big reason why the Chargers are going to have a ton of success this year. I think they're a wild card team at the worst. I think they could even compete with the Chiefs for a divisional playoff because they always do usually well against the Chiefs head to head. And shout out again, Matt LaFleur, one of the best coaches in the league, had all those years with Aaron Rodgers. Don't think that they didn't succeed because of either of them. I think it was more so front office, not investing in enough receivers. But nonetheless, Malik Willis didn't throw a single touchdown pass in his entire Titans career. I mean, I know he wasn't there for a ton of time, but I think it was like 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And he looked unplayable when he played there. He really did. And he comes here and he looked like a really good backup. I mean, you go into, you play Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a really good team. I don't care what anybody says. Big Shane Steichen guy. Richardson's not all there, but they got a solid defense. They got a solid offense. And you lose Jordan Love. Everyone's pressing the panic button on the Packers. Oh my gosh, what are they going to do? They're 0-1. They're going to be 0-2. No, Malik Willis played really well. 122 yards, 1 touchdown. He only had 2 incompletions, but I mean, Matt LaFleur knows. It's just like Jim Harbaugh's doing with Justin Herbert. Don't make him the reason like you have to win a game. Josh Jacobs carried the ball 32 times and he rushed for 151 yards, and that's exactly what they needed to do. And the defense was phenomenal. They picked off Anthony Richardson 3 times. So the impact of coaches cannot be understated, and these 2 games are a huge reason and a huge example as to why that is so.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with more. Man, fantastic point. And to bring up, I would be a little concerned about Anthony Richardson. I don't want to go on a big conversation about, but just saying I would be a little concerned. He just does not look like he's all there right now. And speaking of coach, and one last shout out because he is my guy, my favorite coach of in the NFL. I consistently say it. Another great job by the man, the old Mike Tomlin. Again in Pittsburgh, he exactly what I knew, and I said this over and over again. Number one, I'm telling you right now, you will not see Russell Wilson in a Pittsburgh Steelers starting uniform ever again. It's not going to happen. Okay, I went on this before a couple weeks ago. I talked about it at Pike's Pub on the show, and I said, look, there's something going on. He's such a consummate professional and a player's coach that I know he didn't want to just come out and anoint the starter of being Justin Fields. So I think there was some stuff that went on behind the scenes that it kind of was like, look, we're going to play it up like this. We're going to play it up like that. And you see right off the bat, 13 to 20, 117 yards, a touchdown. He rushes for 27 yards, doesn't rush like crazy. Okay, doesn't rush like crazy, but just enough. He got the confidence out of Justin Fields. This is what these good coaches do. They take somebody that couldn't hack it at another spot. They bring them in here and and they allow them to bloom, man. And I love seeing it. I'm a big Justin Fields guy. I was a big Justin Fields guy last year. I thought he was in a really bad spot. He got done really dirty, and he's in a really great spot with the Steelers. But Tyler, before we even get into that, I know the halftime already started, but we got the first with everything that happened, with all the ups and downs, with everything that's been going on. First 90-win team in Major League Baseball today. Where's the Philadelphia Phillies? I'll tell you what, man. We're here. We're there. I don't know what lies ahead, but man, after everything, to be the first 90-win team in Major League Baseball, it feels damn good.
And they are right on track to winning that division. They just won the series 2-1 over the Mets. You have 4 more games over them. So, I mean, still huge series. And you got the Brewers for the next 3 games. So tough 7 games coming up. But yeah, the magic number is, I thought it was 6, but I guess maybe it's 5. And the Braves they were tied with the Dodgers last time I checked. That could change, but they're on the verge of having a 3-game win streak over the Dodgers. So Dodgers are falling out of contention for that number 1 seed. The Phillies are 2.5 games up, and they could be 3 after the end of tonight. So like you said, it just feels so good. You thought in August with that whole huge slump they were in, and Harper not homering in over a month, and the pitching looking awful. Now everything's starting to click. This is the perfect time. They're starting to get some wins over competitive teams. And to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that is what they have been doing. They have the tiebreaker over the Dodgers. So I just can't wait for Red October. It is going to be electric at the bank. And they have one more home series, and that's against the Cubs next week. So another team that's been hot. So they have season's far from over, but it feels so good to get to 90 wins. And don't think it's going to happen, but the race for 100 wins, could happen. They have 1, 2, 3, 7, 10. They have 13 games, so they got to win 10 of their next 13, and 7 of those you're playing the Mets and the Brewers. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it feels so good.
Adam says Dodgers won 9-2.
Oh man,
Dodgers won 9-2. I don't know if they're going to get to 100 wins, but I'm going to say the number's probably around 96 or 97. The biggest thing I just want to see is we got to get back to more of the consistency when it comes to Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez. Listen, we all know when we get the Red October, it's your pitching. Your pitching is going to win you your game. Your pitching, your bullpen. I feel like the bullpen is really starting to reacclimate itself. But now we need the starting pitching besides Zach Wheeler. We can't just always rely on Zach Wheeler. Aaron Nola has to clean some of that stuff up. Ranger Suarez has to. That does concern me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. That does concern me a little bit. But what's nice to see is we're getting contributions from all over. Right? Cal Stevenson the other night. Are you kidding me? We're getting Weston Wilson again, who I keep saying, love this kid. I do. I kid, he's 29 years old, but all I'm saying is I don't want him playing third base. I'm just saying, don't want him playing third base, but I really like what I see. There again, and let me just say this for final thought here for everybody who was off the Garrett Stubbs wagon. For everybody who said Garrett Stubbs needs to be released, for everybody who said Garrett Stubbs, don't give me, we need to keep a cheerleader, bro. It is a vibe. See, if you were one of the people, I don't care if you work for a radio station, if you're a podcaster or you're a fan, if you said that we should have kept up Rafael Marchand and we should have released Garrett Stubbs, number one, you have no idea what you're talking about. Number two, you have no idea what a vibe is in the game of baseball. And number three, you should just be muted from here on out in Philadelphia because you were dead ass wrong, man. Because Garrett Stubbs is one of the reasons, Tyler, these last 20 games that they had some of these really good wins.
And when JT Realmuto went down, everyone was like, "Oh my God, here we go. We have Garrett Stubbs coming up." And he was phenomenal. What was it, a 4-hit, 5-hit game? That one game, I forget where that was. Was that in Kansas City? But
I might have been. It
I
might have been
think
because it was recently.
that raised his average to way over 200. It was like 222 at that point. After being like 176 for like most of the season, he has that game. And ever since then, he has been doing way better now. I want to look at his splits because
He's been awesome, man.
he's been really great. I mean, and then JT went down again recently, and he stepped it up even better. Like Aramis Garcia had like a nice defensive play, but I mean, Garrett Stubbs is the main reason as to why the team didn't completely fall apart because JT is one of the anchors of like that middle beginning of the bottom of that lineup. But I mean, Garrett Stubbs has a 2.06 ERA, and you're going to be like, oh, that's nothing. It's his.
It's everything about him, man. It's everything about him. It's literally like it when you talk about Garrett Stubbs, and I think Tyler froze up for a minute, might have an internet connection problem. But when you talk about Garrett Stubbs, it's everything about him, man. It's everything about him. It's what he does in the locker room. It's what he does off the field. It's what he does behind closed doors. And that, yeah, Adam, you're right. Bobby Kennedy is doing well too. Exactly. I mean, you're getting contributions. I mean, this is what happens when you're a good team, when you're a playoff bound team. Okay, you're there. Tyler's back. Tyler, you froze up a little bit, man. So I just wanted to make sure you're all right. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. Hold on. Yeah, yeah. I'll click move. There you go. What's up?
I don't know what happens. Sometimes it just freezes up when I'm looking at other apps and looking at.
You know what? I learned that. Like, I actually, it's funny, but I got a shout out to my dad. He is a huge computer guy, and about 2 years ago, when I decided to go like all in with this, he was like, "Look, I'm gonna get you a monster." So he literally bought me like this high end like gaming desktop with huge video card graphics in it, everything. And I've never like because I used to have the same issue, and I've never had a problem with it. So shout out to Dad for that because without him, I would not be rolling the way I do. But you're right. Like we were talking about Garrett Stubbs, he's a vibe, man. Like literally, he is a vibe. He is, somebody that holds this team together, man. And I'm sorry, you cannot underestimate what that does to a clubhouse, man. So that's why I love Garrett Stubbs.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the last thing you heard when I cut out?
Yeah, well, we were talking about the splits. You were talking about what Rafael Marchand. You were talking about Garcia made a nice defensive play. I think it was right after that. You said Garcia made a nice
Yeah.
defensive play.
I was just saying that Garrett Stubbs he took over when
Yep.
JT went down. The catcher is the leader. That's like the quarterback of the team because he's in charge of the whole infield. He adjusts or like kind of not really defensive rotate, but like if he thinks there's a steal coming, maybe he motions something. But I mean, the catcher is a very important position. We see how important it is with JT Realmuto, and for to have someone as good of a backup as Garrett Stubbs, he doesn't need to have a 250 average. He just needs to do his job, and he does his job very well. People don't give him as much credit as they actually should.
No, you're right because I think it's just because he's not a flashy guy, and I'll say this on an ending note too. This hall plays into in the beginning of the year when everybody was so enamored with the Johan Rojas effect. Like this guy can't be on this team. Uh, Again, when you look at this lineup, if you tell me that Garrett Stubbs you're relying on Garrett Stubbs. Let's remember now that having JT Romuto is a luxury. Okay. We had guys on this team. Listen, we had Chooch, who was a tremendous defensive catcher. Wasn't a great person at the plate. Okay. But we weren't relying on Chooch. We had Ryan Howard. We had Chase Utley. We had J Roll. So this is where I say people are just so disconnected. And when people bring that stuff up, it's just because they want to create an argument. They want to create traffic on their site, on their station, whatever it is. They want to get people talking. But let's be honest, Tyler, it doesn't matter, man. Garrett Stubbs could go 0 for 35. I don't care. Handle the pitching staff, be the guy in the locker room, and just let the $300 million+ players just do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's an extent to where you can take them out. Like if they are doing so bad that they shouldn't be in the line, that's a different story. But for what he's doing, it's nowhere close to that mark. Now, what Johan Rose was doing at the beginning of the year, his defense was awesome, but he just could not hit. Sent him down to the AAA, came back up, and he's been phenomenal. He's hitting 240 now, exactly what they need. He doesn't need to be a 260 hitter. A 240 with elite defense, that's all you need. So a guy like Garrett Stubbs, just doing his job. That's all you need to do in baseball when you're a bench guy, when you're a platoon guy. Just do your job, and you're going to get playing time. And that, I think it was Cal Stevenson who said it yesterday. I don't get much playing time, but when I do, I just give it my best, try to do the best that I can. And that's what platoon guys need to do, and bench guys. And especially on postseason teams, because this is where you will see how important depth is. Because the Phillies don't have a bench. It's like the same thing with the Sixers. Sixers don't have a bench. The best teams have guys they can rely on the bench. Not the guys that have to do it all, but do their job. And the Phillies have that, especially with Garrett Stubbs.
100%. Adam says Rojas had a nice ball. Exactly. Doing what he's supposed to. Now, Adam's trying to get funny with you. Tyler says, got that Walmart Wi Fi. So, I don't know. I don't know. I listen, man. Listen, technology is great when it works. Okay. And sometimes it just doesn't work. Final thoughts here as we get out of here. We got a game going live. I want to get back and watch. It's going to be a great game. I want to get back. I got some bets. I'm trying. I got a couple showdown lineups. I cashed in a couple lineups earlier. Nothing crazy, but enough to get my money back. So having fun with that. But Tyler, obviously we're going to be live for the Eagles Monday night game. Just looking at your final thoughts, man. What are you expecting from this game tomorrow night?
I definitely think they need to shut down Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins did not look like the Kirk Cousins we all know last year. I think he's still coming back from that Achilles injury. So I think they need to bring all the pressure. Do not let him get easy looks. Do not let him get comfortable. And I think that's the number one key to the game. If you make him uncomfortable, because he does not do well on primetime. He is historically an awful primetime. Monday Night Football Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk Cousins. He cannot win in primetime. And against the Eagles, he likes to throw picks. He likes to turn the ball over. You saw that game 2 years ago against Minnesota. Was it Monday Night Football? I just don't think you can let him get comfortable, because if he does, he has so many weapons. He's got Pitts. He's got London. He's got Bijan. So just shut him down. Make them rely on running it with Bijan. I mean, obviously don't want him to do too well, but just make him uncomfortable. Don't give him anything easy. So that's number one. Make him uncomfortable.
I like that. Make him uncomfortable. Adams with a big score, 45-9. Birds, listen, I was on my prediction last week was 34-28, and it came out 34-29. So I'm going to go again. I do. I think this is going to be, I'm going to go 38 for the Birds. I know there's no AJ Brown, but again, Saquon Barkley, prime time. Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert probably get a little action in there, but I got a little. I think we're going to see a Kenny Gainwell touchdown tomorrow night. I think we're going to see a couple plays where we're going to have Saquon Barkley split out as a receiver and Gainwell in the backfield, and they're going to give a draw to Gainwell. You mark it up, and he's going to score. So that's one of my prediction plays. I think the Birds take care of this easily. And to your point, Kirk Cousins, to me, is the softest quarterback in the entire NFL. If he has nobody around him and he could just throw the ball without getting hit, he's fantastic. If he even gets touched or breathed on, forget about it. He folds like a Charmin, man, and that's why he's soft, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Vic's going to have everybody flying at him, and it's going to be fun, man. So for Tony Tyler, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go watch the second half live right now with Chicago and Houston. Get those bets ready. Make sure you use that code word HEAT, HEAT, for all sports betting things at WinDailySports.com. Make sure you keep it locked right here. Pre-game, post-game. Tyler's been doing a fantastic job. Hopefully, I have a big announcement on Wednesday to a brand new flagship show that's basically going to lead the network, and I can't wait for that. I got some updates with that. Got logos being made. Got some stuff going on, so it's going to be pretty exciting. And still working on a wrestling show that should be happening very, very soon. A lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world that we can't wait. And I know Tyler's got some more ideas. Working on some more collaborations with a couple people. Shout out to Sean Selby for Corner Pub Sports, doing a fantastic job. Had another great Selby Sizzles today. Selby Sizzlers, what we call them, which is pretty cool. Make sure you're checking out Corner Pub Sports every Friday night, 8:15. They do a fantastic job. So make sure you check them out too as well. So for Tony, for Tyler, everybody have a fantastic evening. We're going to get out of here tomorrow night live on location at Plugs Pub. If you're in the area, make sure you get there. If not, watch it right here. And we're going to get ready for our Birds win. Everybody have a fantastic evening. We'll catch you next time.